All right, guys, well, as per your request, turns out I'm going to be able to go ahead and film this. I was having difficulties yesterday with building up those hard corners because the mathematical layout wasn't adding up, as I mentioned earlier. I started kind of measuring it out, and then these started slowly shifting over, and it didn't make sense according to what's inside of here. And so now both of them are ruined, right? This one doesn't have a sharp corner, that one doesn't have a sharp corner, neither does the bottom. Now they did tell me this was an auction purchase, so it could have been something where maybe they just threw in another Kelly bar that was similar, or I don't know. But this looks like some paint, some primer red oxide paint, so it looks like they had replaced that piece at some point or another. So I finally figured out the math on it. I ended up getting, well, you can't see, but I have a, let's see, drawing program that I brought out, and I got the layout for it. So next step now is that now that I got it all laid out, I'm only going to go up to here, right, this measurement here, and I'm going to go ahead and start my measurement at that first notch. Now I could go further under there, but it's just more work, and this will help me make sure that I line it up correctly so it'll fit in there. I'll lay the piece on top, mark it, lay it down, weld it. Be easy enough. So now what's next is just a lot of gouging in there, and then gouging in here. I'm going to see if I can have the mechanic remove this ring while I get to lunch, when I do take lunch, and see if that'll make it easier for me. But I'll start on these here first. So let's get set up for gouging. right, well, I don't know how much of that you caught. Turns out the camera was kept turning off. It's just so hot out here. More so humid, you know. But that's about as good as I can clean it off. And I set it to the first measurement, like I mentioned. That way I just put from there. That way it'll work. All right, so some of that you didn't catch because the camera actually overheated and shut off. So that's no bueno. But now, as I mentioned, they took off this ring for me. The ring is sitting over there. And now I'm gonna gouge this area all along there, and hopefully those will come right out. This side looks awful thin. This is a little bit thicker, and then this one's a little bit thicker. Seems like it was riding more on that side. When it would jam into place, it'd slide over that way. So hopefully it's not too terribly wore out. One of the concerns I have is that being that it's in the machine, that I worry about burning up any possible seal that's in there. And no matter what, I would have had that issue anyway, because I would have been building up these corners with a lot of heat input, with, you know, a lot of welding. So it's kind of with a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other kind of thing. So at least the gouging removes a lot of it, and the heat, you know, will dissipate. Hopefully a little faster. I don't know, but we'll have to see, especially when I'm welding it back together. I'll probably have to weld a little bit, maybe turn it, and then weld it, turn it, so it doesn't burn one spot of the seal. So I don't know how much of this you'll get, but I'll try and film some of it. So let's go. Okay, that wasn't so bad, but it came out kind of wonky. So I think this time I'm gonna mark a line with the grinder right in here to kind of get me a straight line, at least a direction as to where to go, because I was just guessing, hoping that I would find a separation line, but it looks like they filled it all up. So much for that. Let me mark a line. Okay, so got those out of the way. That was a little more challenging than I actually expected. I thought it'd be easy to gouge those all the way down, but sure enough, it was terrible. So at least I got them out, so that's good. Now I can run back to the shop and cut those pieces out, these little cog blocks, and then weld them on tomorrow. It's a little bit late this afternoon. It's just hot. Where's the sun? It's hot. So we're gonna put up for today and then just continue on tomorrow. So here's a quick flash. See you in the morning. You can hardly see all the reflection. Well, it looks like it'll do it. Cut those three. Those are the short ones that go inside the rotary pot. I'm a little unsure if that's going to be enough of a cog for it to catch on, but that's what it had before. I may make another set. I'm not quite sure. Maybe another 1/8 of an inch out, further out, to see if it catches any better. But let's see what this does with the longer set that I cut. Okay, so I decided to take a pause because I didn't like the way this was coming out. I didn't like the way this manufacturer made these cogs are just too squared off, and the other manufacturers have a taper to these, so as you're lifting up the center kelly bar, it'll disengage. And so I went ahead and changed the design. So we're going to start it again and see if this one works better. I left a little room in between these slots there for dirt to, you know, pile up, and that's so it's not so tight. All right, well, that'll do it. You wonder how come I cut so many? Well, I messed up. This one here, I had a hiccup on the material, so that's I had to restart that. I didn't like the way I cut one of them, so I recut it again. And so this one over here, I didn't like these initial notches because it just seemed like they couldn't, let me do it this way, because they wouldn't disengage well enough. And then I drew it up differently. Okay, so I was saying that I drew it up differently, and it turns out there's a big difference between 7 and 1/16 and 7 and 7/16. So I goofed up my math on that one, so it didn't look right as soon as I cut it, and so I had to go back and do it right. So these I didn't like. That's the original factory. This one I messed up. That one better. So now it's just a matter of cleaning them up and getting them installed at the customer's location. So I think we're gonna be doing pretty good. So let's just get those cleaned up. I don't know if I'll do it on film or not, but get those cleaned up. And actually I'll be going out there tomorrow. Had some other things come up today, so we'll finish that up next. Sure glad you guys didn't have to watch all of that, because this was terrible. That's pretty hard to get in there. Okay, so now what am I thinking? Okay, now I'm going to install them and see if the spacing is correct right in this area. I went ahead and used the cutoff wheel, as I mentioned earlier, to try and get a straight line. I had good success on all of them except for one. I forget which one it is. So as I put them in place, as I clamp them, I'll kind of make sure that they're lined up pretty evenly, and that way they can go in there and interlock well. So now it's time to grind these other pieces up, like I mentioned the other day, I guess yesterday. Either way, grind those up, clean them up, and install them and clamp them. All right, now I'm at the point of filling this up or tacking it in place. Turns out I got a little more aggressive here at the bottom and cut too much out, which is no problem. A little bit more to weld, more penetration rate. Here it's a little tighter, so I'll just cut a bevel in here and fill it up as well. I'll probably get a cutoff wheel and cut a little slice off of that. But that's about how it's going to look. And so I know you guys may not be able to see a lot of this welding, so I'm going to try and do the best I can. But I'm going to use a flux core wire down there. Fill it up. This side, the back side of these have bevels in here, and then this side will get fully welded. So things are looking pretty good. It's just a matter of a lot of welding now. All right. progress is coming out all right. Got that little weld in there. I'd say it's probably about a 1/4 inch or so, 5/16 weld, and 1/4 inch. And same thing out here. My needle scaler took a dump on me, so I have one coming. My wife's bringing it to me. But anyway, just thought I'd show you the progress. Here's the other one. That one's hot. So I just put the next one on there, and we should be good. We should move on to welding those guys out. I still haven't cleaned those up yet, but once we do, then it'll be pretty quick work. So things are looking really nice, really nice. All right, keep trucking. All right, guys, so that's one of them. Two more to go. All right. right, so you know, I messed up again, but it was fixable. Turns out I was making my measurements with this ring off of there, so this measurement right here to the top of this was different than there. So I measured that there and realized, holy smokes, off. I had already given it some clearance beforehand, but not enough, so I gotta go back. I made the changes on those other ones. I went ahead and cut those once I realized I was wrong, but this is the one that I already glued on there, so I gotta cut these notches out. I can do that with an arc gouger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not too bad. I'm glad I didn't put them all on there and then realize later, but these have nice square edges. A big cut with a bandsaw. So let me clean that up with a gouger, and then we'll be finishing this up. Okay, so those cleaned up pretty good. Got them pretty nice and square. So that'll be good. Now let's install it back in here to make sure it sits right, and then we can be done. right, so as you saw there, I was pressing on the ground a little hard, but I don't know what I'm doing with this machine. I don't know how to use them correctly, but it seemed to engage. I don't like how little it engages, but you know, maybe that's something I can do for next time, because I left 3/4 of an inch. It had half an inch. I said no, we need some more, so it's already getting a little beat up, but it is what it is. It can at least crowd, and so you know, look good. Came out all right. Some of these welds are all right, you know. It's good. It's good. So that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool. Made those holes. It actually was able to crowd down. At least wasn't able to do it before. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Now I gotta put up all my junkie. All right, see you guys.